Okay, everybody, sorry for the delay. We had a slight technical issues here in Altoona, PA, but we figured it out. So we're live virtual tasting again. This is our third one, and we have the absolute pleasure of having Loredana with us tonight from Vivera Winery. And she had a birthday party today for her niece, I believe.
Yeah.
Right.
So she might be feeling pretty good right now. We hope so.
Yeah, perfect. I drank a lot of wine.
Yeah, good. Yeah. And it's 11. It's 11 o'clock there, right?
Yes, it's 11 o'clock. It's 11:05.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, we're gonna get started. We actually are broadcasting live in Altoona here, Holliesburg, Pennsylvania, from one of our favorite coffee shops, Burrow Coffee. I don't know if you can see behind us here, but it's a wonderful shop here that is owned by the Delosier family, Don and Jody Delosier, right next to the U.S. Hotel. So for those of you who are familiar with this place, you should come by, grab some coffee. It's outstanding. Grab some food at the U.S. Hotel. And when you're there, make sure you bug Don to have this wine here available to drink. All right? So anyway, we're going to talk tonight about Vivera Winery. Where are we? Some people don't know where this is even from. So Vivera is a Sicilian winery, and I didn't have the chance to go and visit, but Deb did and some other people. Greg Fulcero and his uncle Johnny got to go visit, and Loredana's been back once to visit with us. And we had an amazing time when she was here with us for the 3 or 4 days that she spent with us.
We lost Loredana.
And we lost Loredana, but we'll bring her back. So anyway, we have 2 wines I'd like to try. It's Sicilian wine is really popular nowadays in the United States, just because it's a new territory, a new area to try some wine. And obviously, Sicilian wine is Italian wine, and it's an island of its own. And a lot of cool grapes come from there. A lot of grapes that people have actually never even heard of, and they have really cool Italian names. I love to say it, even though I'm not Italian, but it makes me feel Italian for a couple of minutes. So the wines tonight, which we'll talk about, one's called Altrové, the other is called Etna Rosso. And the grapes from this area are Nerella Mascalese, and they're also Caricante, and they also make some Chardonnay as well. And they come from 2 distinct regions of Sicily, and you'll see where her family has the vineyards. And I don't want to steal her thunder too much, but throughout the course of this tasting tonight, please ask us questions. They pop on our screen here. Ask us anything you want. Ask Loredana anything you want, and we can answer them as much as we possibly can for you. That's the goal tonight: is to have a good time, drink some wine, and learn some educational topics about Sicilian wine and Loredana's family.
See if she's there.
So hang tight with us. We're trying to get Loredana back here.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
She
we just can't see you.
We just can't see her right now, but that's okay.
Let me.
Okay. I hope it's okay. We are quite far, but I hope that now you can hear me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
We just don't have you on video.
It's beautiful to have Zoom and all this system, because actually we are very near, even if we are very far. So it's amazing, actually.
So, there you are, Loredana. Okay, we can see you now.
Why am I on here?
So I was just telling the audience earlier a little bit about the winery, but why don't you tell us about your family, how it started? I knew you guys grew grapes for a period of time, and then finally somebody in the family said, we should make our own wine. So kind of tell us how that whole thing started, and how the passion became, and how it eventually became to be an outstanding winery thus far.
Yeah. So actually the winery start thanks to our mama. And talking about our, here you have the photo of the family. That is the most important one. Before we were all together for the birthday of my niece. That now in this photo she's very small, but now she was young, and now she's 9 years old. And actually, everything start with our mama because she inherited being Corleone. Corleone is a small village west part of Sicily. And so when she inherited this vineyard, she continued to cultivate them, the grape. And with my father, they used to sell the grape. So one day, that now it's almost 20 years ago, we decided that the hobby, what was just the hobby of our parents, would become the job, because it was our passion, for my brother and for me. And so in 2002, we bought a domain on Mount Etna, and we started this new journey for our life. So actually, as I said, my mama, she comes from Corleone. As I said, is in the real center of the west part of Sicily. On the contrary, my brother is in the south of Sicily. We also had a domain where we produce extra virgin olive oil. And they met in the city where there is the Etna volcano, that is Catania, so always in Sicily. So we are just in 3 parts of the same island. The island is quite big. And it's when they met, they fall in love, and the family start. So that's the reason why we are on Mount Etna, because my brothers and me, we were born here. And we start in 2002 with the domain, and our first harvest for ourselves to produce wine was in 2008. So now we are 2020, it's some years, but we are still very, very young. I try to talk not so much so that you can make me question.
Okay. So, so 2000, you said 2008 is when you started to make wine. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So prior to that, the family had grapes, but you sold the grapes.
Yes, we sold
Okay.
the grapes to other domain, to other wineries in Sicily.
Okay. All right. You know, that's a pretty common thing to see in Italy and France, where people grow grapes and then sell them for a period of time, and then eventually decide, let's make our own wine. You think that's pretty common?
So actually, I think that is a trend that is more important in the last 10 years, especially lately. People have other business, and then now they start to produce their own wine because they have a domain. Of course, it depends where are the vineyards, because when you have the vineyards in fantastic places or very well known like Mount Etna, it's quite normal that you think when you produce wine, start producing wine for like a hobby, a second business, but it's not so easy. So actually, when I think about that, I must say that our family was born in the vineyard. I don't even remember when I made my first harvest, when I entered for the first time. I remember when I cut for the first time, because it was the rain. It started raining, and so we finished immediately because I was not so lucky. But it was funny because people told me, "Okay, you received the water, like the water from God. It's your first time, so it's funny." But actually, we always live in the vineyard, and quite often people ask me why we know so much about the grape. Because we live the grape. We were together with the vine. So for us, it was not really a business because it was a quite important domain, but it was really a business, something that we do, we make always since we were born. And then we decide to make it just for our unique work, my brother, me. So I can consider my brother, me, the first generation to produce wine. My parents, it's a long history of generation of producing grapes.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So, you know, you have your mom who kind of, she, you know, was the, you know, runs, it was the start of the whole, the winery, your brother, but who's in charge now? Is it still mom? Are you in charge? You know, who's the boss?
Well, I think that to be sincere, I think the boss because I exploit everyone. I'm very so no, I'm not. I think it's a quite important role, but my parents still work with us, especially my father. Today, my father was in the winery together with me, working. He always go to the vineyard. He always like to follow the grape. I think it's part of his life. It's something that he will do. But he's also make some work in the office. For sure, some of the things are more connected to our domain and our way of thinking, because I think that the past must be very important for the tradition, and because there is a beauty in this past and this culture, but it's important to look also in front of you. And I think that our parents both teach us to not to stay, but to walk, to make a step after the other and always look outside. So I think that is a work of team, a work of a family. So not just my family, but all a group of people that work with us, the winemaker, the people that work in the vineyard, in the winery. But we are all together, like a big family that work for the same direction, and always more than work, I could say running.
You know, that's pretty cool, because at my house there's only one boss, my wife.
You know, it's a woman. I know your wife, so
Yeah. So a little bit more about yeah. So a little about Sicily. So you know, we're looking at where your vineyards are located. The home winery is located in Linguaglossa, and then you have another some vineyards out west in Corleone.
Yes. Yeah.
Which I think is a cool story. The Corleone. Maybe you could talk about Corleone and its namesake, as well as the grape that you guys harvest from there.
Actually, we are really very proud to have these two domains, because for sure Etna is well known everywhere because it's the biggest active volcano of Europe. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Patrimony. But Corleone, I think that people know more Corleone than Mount Etna everywhere in the world because of the Godfather movie, for the mafia, etc. Sometimes there are people that ask me, but is it true? Does Corleone exist really? It's a village. Yeah, it is. What is very nice is the fact that producers there close to village. People sometimes have some prejudice on that. Don't thinking that mafia, of course, still exists in the world, but the real history, the real legend of mafia is something that is of 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So nowadays it's a completely different situation. But what you have always in Corleone is that people are really very proud, and they like the vines compared to their neighbor. So they work with a lot of courage, and they are very passionate. And it is something that is part of Corleone attitude, of the inhabitants of Corleone. Consider that in the past, Corleone was very famous, not for the mafia, but for the churches, because it was a very important religious place. And it was very important also for something that a lot of people that go to Sicily see all the time, but they don't know that it comes from Corleone. That is the flag of Sicily. You know that the flag of Sicily is yellow and red. And there is the trinacria, that is a sort of woman, a face with 3 legs, that remember the 3 point of Sicily. Is a triangle. One of the color, actually the red, is the color of Corleone, because the inhabitants of Corleone in the past helped the inhabitants of Palermo to fight against French people, because we had also French and Swedish people in Sicily. So what happened is that Corleone nowadays has a certain kind of idea for people, sometimes for a country, but in the past it was not really only that. It was a place that was very important because of the value of people, and this value of people is still there. So when we talk about the Corleone and about the wine, for me what is important is not only talking about Chardonnay, Catarratto, Insolia, so the grape that are cultivated there and the wines that we produce that are these two labels, but it's also to talk about their culture and why the wine are like that. So I hope that even all the people that are there will come to visit me, will go to Corleone, will taste in Pennsylvania the wines that you have, our wines. And then when they go to Corleone, they say, yes, I drank the wine of Corleone from Vivera, and it can be made just here, because the kind of wine reflect the place. That's our goal. I like to do with the wine.
So let's talk about Altrové then, because that is the wine from Corleone.
Yes, it's for our listeners. There's different vineyards that they have. The one that's on their home wine is the Linguaglossa, which is on the east side of Sicily, and then Corleone is west.
Yes.
And from there is where the Altrove wine is born. So wanted Loredana, tell us about Altrove, the grapes that are involved, and how you transport it, because it's not 30 minutes away. It's some work to be done. So tell us about that.
So first of all, Corleone, the white wine is Altrove, and it is made of different grape. They are Chardonnay, that you know, Catarratto, and Insolia. Three grapes that are here in the city. August with the Chardonnay, and then there is the Catarratto, and then the Insolia will be about 1 month later, just for the white. So it's a very, very long harvest. Everything is made by hand. Actually, we produce organic grapes and organic wine, and we try to touch the less as possible the grape, in order to keep all the flavor intact when they arrive into the winery. So we put all these grapes that we select already in the vineyard, we put them in small cases in a truck. The truck takes about 4 hours and a quarter. Now it's 4 hours and a quarter always, but it is supposed to be 4 hours and a half, but you know, the driver wants to go fast. And it's very hard.
I think that's
normally in the morning, because it's made by hand. And during the night, we work in the winery. So we work sometimes till 1 to 3 in the morning. Sometimes it could happen even till 7, 8 in the morning of the day after. So it's a very long, exhausting. But I can say that the workers in general, they keep the smile in their face. It's not because they drink, it's just because we have a good environment and good ambience inside, and we work with concentration. So it's probably Altrove is the wine that is the hardest physically to produce for that. But it's a wine because you drink, and there is some wine with this one for sure.
Right here.
Salute.
Salute. So we agree. This wine is it's delicious. It's a combination of 3 grapes: Chardonnay, Catarratto, Insolia. Correct.
Yes.
And can this, we would drink it fresh, obviously, but can you age this wine?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. It's also our philosophy. The idea is to produce a memorable wine. So it means wines that you can drink now, and you can drink also in 2, 3, or 10 years. Altrove, it is conceived from us to be a wine that is quite fast, like in 2, 3 years to be drink. But due to the fact that we make a very, very important selection in the grape, and also the work with a lot of care in the winery, allows to keep the wine with a good structure. And when you have a good structure, a good acidity, a good balance in the glass, and you have care of it, it can have a very, very long life. Even if for us it's a young wine. Of course, we have also other wines that are conceived for even longer aging, like the Etna White, but also the Altrove. For example, my father this summer used to drink, because he likes, the 2012. And I was like, okay, Papa, that is the archives for us, not to drink every day, but just in very nice occasion. But I cannot say no to my dad, of course. But it's
no. Yeah. So, Loredana, if you're going to drink Altrove, which by the way means elsewhere, is that correct?
Yes.
What's your favorite pairing with Altrove? Food pairing.
Oh, that one is difficult.
One, your favorite.
That's very
That
probably is quite easy. That is fried fish. The
fried fish.
Yeah, you know, the small one that you eat, for different reason actually. I like when you drink this wine, you have a perception like of citrus agrumes inside, but it is also floral, and at the same time it has a texture that is not too heavy, but is there. So it's very good with fish that is fried, because the fish is light, remember the sea, and so the part that salt and the crispy sensation as also the wine. But at the same time, you have the oily sensation, so the fat that is completely washed away by the acidity of the wine. So probably it's the best combination for me, and also for another reason, because Altrove, it's a nice wine to drink with friends, with a lot of friends. And I always think to be with a very huge plate of fish, fried fish, and people that just eating and drinking at the same time, talking and having fun. So for me, it's that Altrove. Elsewhere means, yes, Altrove means elsewhere. That is the sensation to be in total contact with nature. So that's the nature here.
That's great. So, I mean, some of your wines have some different names, so that means something else. So here's an example of wine we're not drinking tonight, but one of the wines that we offer that you obviously produce.
In a magnum also, by the way. So from my blog about magnums, we have this.
Yeah, Terre de Saunier is, and then we're not drinking it tonight, but it's a combination of 6 grapes, I believe. 6 and some 5 grapes. Some international grapes. Yeah. I'm usually pretty good at remembering, but I thought it was 6, but 5. But a delicious wine, but obviously fun in a magnum. But so but the Altrove, a really delicious wine that I hope everybody is drinking right now. And again, it's from Corleone, the western side of Sicily, and Loredana has to truck it in small little buckets, 4 hours to the winery, and work all night to make this wine.
Yes.
So some hard work and love and passion into this wine.
Yeah.
So I was looking at your winery online. It's a really cool winery you have in Linguaglossa, and I saw that your cellar space has 3 different colors, and they all mean something different.
Yes, the colors of the winery.
Yeah, tell us a little about that. That's something different that you don't see very often.
Yeah, I know. I'm a quite crazy person. You know, to my, to my way of.
Tell us about it. Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah, I think that when I talk before about the nights that I spent with the workers during the harvest, you understand that I like to have a good environment, to have fun with them. So to work seriously with attention, but at the same time to feel comfortable with each other. And for us, what is very, very important is the winery, because the, the winery's work, important part of the life, is the fact that people must feel comfortable working together and be in an environment that is ideal for them. So when we construct the winery, what I thought was that you spend more than 7-8 hours per day in a winery working, so a lot of time of your life. And it is really better if the place where you work, it's a place that is conceived to give you a better life. So the colors actually are just, not just, are the idea of the color therapy that the workers can enjoy during the work inside the winery. So we have different colors. Actually, we have 4 different colors in different rooms: green, red, yellow, and blue, clear blue. And in every place, they have a different feeling, different emotion. So it means that, for example, I just make the example, the green, it's a kind of color that gives you energy, positive energy. So it's in a place that is the place where they stay more during the winter. So imagine on Mount Etna, everything is gray because the lava stone is gray. You enter, everything is in stainless steel because the tanks are like that. Imagine to be in a place that is gray. Ah, so sad. So the green gives this positive energy. At the same time, another color, for example, is the blue, the clear blue in the bottling room, where there is a lot of noise and you need a lot of concentration. So it's a place where you have the sensation of freshness, but also a sensation of calm, quiet. So if there is a problem that you have to solve, because the bottling is one of the moments that is the most dangerous in a winery, in a process, it's a way to keep your soul calm and quiet, be concentrated. And thanks to this color, I think that also the noise that you have on the glass that touch all the time, you can afford it easily. Actually, all these colors and the concept of the colors, the vibration that you have between the colors and just you, it's what we make and use also for the labels of Altrové and Terra dei Sogni. If you notice, they have a lot of colors. They are 2 watercolor paintings. And the idea is that every color, every design give you a specific emotion that is just yours. And it means that when you drink a glass of wine, it's the same. It's just your sensation, your feeling. So it's something that is between you and your glass. If the wine is good, it will talk to you in an individual way. And so this is the idea of the color in the winery, but also what we do also after in the label.
So that's wonderful. I think that you able to incorporate those kind of things for your workers. I mean, really, I think Deb would agree, really denotes your passion to making wine in the best situation possible for work. In fact, I encourage all of you to go on the website for Vivera. And some of the tasting notes of the wine are amazing. And I think they are done by Loredana because she's so emotionally attached to these wines. And I have a description of one of the wines here, which we're going to be drinking here in a little bit. And at the bottom of the description of the wine, of the Etna Rosso, it says here, this wine invites you to drink in good company with joy. It is like meeting a friend who always leaves you with emotions in your heart. In the sense, welcome you like a sunny smile and the tannin envelops you like his sincere embrace. That is amazing. I could never write something like that, ever. But when I hear that, I think of you completely. And it really tells us, I mean, this is your passion, this is your wine, and you exude your personality in these wines. It's amazing. So to us, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And that's hard to make up. You can't make those kind of things up. And I think that I never saw that till I saw that today, actually, and I had to quote that because that was pretty incredible.
Now, you just turned a very bright shade of red. So I know Chris is just embarrassed you.
But
no, it's all good, Loredana. It's all good.
It's all good. It's amazing.
When
so let's move on to some other grapes of Sicily.
Well,
so
let's talk about Mount Etna.
Let's talk about Mount Etna itself. Tell us about the volcano, the soil about it. We don't want to bore our patrons too much. Some of our followers hear about soils, but I think we should talk about Mount Etna, how it's really important to the wine industry and your wines.
And especially how the volcanic soil, there's different volcanic soils and how they impart unique flavors. And then you can get into your contrada and what the unique flavors of Martinella are.
Yeah. So first of all, Mount Etna, we have local grape. So for the red, for this one that we are drinking, there is the Nerello Mascalese, and for the white, you said before, it's Carricante, and there is also another grape that is local that you use for the Martinella, that is Nerello Cappuccio. So the main one for the red, in any case, is Nerello Mascalese. It's interesting already the name of the grape because it allows you to connect immediately the grape with the place. Nerello means little red. If you know this wine, you see that it's a quite clear wine, similar to a Pinot Noir or a Nebbiolo when you look at it. Mascalese comes from the village of Mascali, that is a village that is at the foot of Mount Etna. So it's a grape that is really in strong connection that was there, I think the 4th century before Jesus Christ. So it's a very, very old grape. In general, well, this grape was arrived in Mount Etna thanks to Greek people that found in this territory a place that is really amazing, because Mount Etna, it's a place that is in the center of Mediterranean Sea. So you think, okay, you are in the Mediterranean climate. Not at all. Actually, you are in a sort of continental place, but in the Mediterranean Sea. You have the snow on Mount Etna. People go skiing. And it could be that while you're skiing, you see the sea and you think, I would like to go to the sea to have a bath. Today I make a walk because you know that I live 300 meters far from the sea. And there were people that were there. It's a place that it's very, very, very near to the sea, because actually Etna was born from the sea. And it means also that inside you have a lot of fossils on Mount Etna. So it's a kind of soil that is very particular because it's a volcano that is active. So it's not an old one, but it's still producing new material. And what is beautiful on Mount Etna is the fact that every tongue of lava is different. Actually, we are in a village called Linguaglossa. Lingua means tongue. Glossa comes from grossa, that means huge. So huge tongue of lava, probably. So it's a place where it allows you to have different soil that gives minerality, that gives almost sulfuric sensation, but depends on the place you are, you have a different result. For instance, Martinella, what makes really special Martinella is the fact to be a very old flow of lava. We are talking about 1160. It's full of stones, so gives a lot of elegance to the wine, minerality, and verticality to the wine. So you have a wine that is very vertical, very elegant, and made for very, very long aging. And that's really special on Martinella.
Yeah, so I love the names of the grapes. And for those who are listening, this is probably some of the first times they've actually tasted this grape. And so it's Nerello Mascalese and Nerello Cappuccio.
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 And it's correct too. It's at 80% Mascalese and 20% up to 20% Cappuccio.
So that one is the regulation of the Etna DOC that must be at minimum 80% Nerello Mascalese and maximum 20% of Nerello Cappuccio. You can have also 100% Nerello Mascalese. Concerning this one, this bottle, you have 100% Nerello Mascalese. Concerning on the contrary Martinella, that one, you have a part of Nerello Cappuccio. You said something that is very interesting because actually that tradition 80-20 comes from the fact that in the past, people used to plant 4 vines of Nerello Mascalese and 1 of Cappuccio. 4-1, giving this percentage. Because the Nerello Cappuccio gives a little bit more of color. So it was put there just to give a little more color to the Nerello Mascalese. And so in tradition, 80-20, what remain for the Etna DOC. Sometimes you can use also white grape in substitution of Nerello Cappuccio because people make the mix in the past. Yeah.
Cool. So tonight we're drinking the Etna Rosso, so we're clear for our listeners, is 100% Nerello Mascalese.
Yes.
The Etna Rosso, correct.
Yes. One is vintage 2017. It's a wine that I like a lot, really a lot, because it's a wine that I want to produce since some years. It's a younger wine compared to Martinella, but actually made with the same selected quality grape. So there is a grape that is wonderful inside the quality, but instead of making an aging inside the French oak or the Caucasus oak, it is inside tank, and it keeps the wine more vibrant. And when I taste it, I immediately understand what is Nerello Mascalese and what is Martinella de Contrada. Contrada means cru, is a single vineyard wine. So, as I said before, it's full of stones. It's one of the deepest on Mount Etna. It's more than 250 meters just of lava. So it's enormous. Some areas are just 15 meters, 7 meters. So imagine the difference between 7 and 250. When you will come, because you will come, and Deborah again, and all of you will come, you will be 9 kilometers from the sea and 9 kilometers from the center, the crater, the central crater. So you have a view that is beautiful, and you will perceive the wind that arrive from the sea, and the cooler wind that arrive from Mount Etna. So it's a place that has a combination very particular, very near to the wood that give freshness, elegance to the wine, elegance and complexity that comes from all these stones that is where the roots go down.
So this wine we're drinking tonight, would you tell somebody who opens a bottle, would you have them decant this wine? Can you let it sit in the glass? What would you recommend for Etna Rosso? Should it decant, not decant, or doesn't matter? What would you tell?
No decant, but as you look at me, when I when I drink my wine, I like to have a big glass, always, because it allows to spread the smell. We make a very long age in the wines, in Pernod wine. And so it's not a glass like a glass for a Burgundy. It's the best one.
So,
the decanter, it's nice to use just when you have a very, very old wine and when there are sediments on the bottle. But sometimes, but that's my personal taste, I prefer to reveal the wine in the glass little by little. So when you have a decanter, if it is necessary for sediments, I like it, I like them. But if it is to open the wine faster, sincerely, I prefer to open it little by little, talking with people, eating something, and talking, and drinking. So little by little. Yeah, I like I'm not like a meditational person, but I like to stay with people. And so if the
So,
wine,
so as
table,
I understand, for those like to talk a lot, putting the glass does the trick. For those who don't like to talk a lot, you maybe decant and you can drink it. And a
yes.
big glass is meant to get some more oxygen, whereas some people think a big glass just means you can pour more wine.
Yeah.
Like my brother probably.
But you have to pour like that. That's the
Yeah, perfect.
art.
So the difference between, so for those who are listening, she was talking about contrada, which means a single vineyard. It's called a cru, which means a single vineyard. Are these one, is the Etna Rossa and the Martinella, are the grapes from the same vineyard or are they different vineyards?
No, they are really, really the same vineyard. So it means that, just to be more clear, Contrada is really a single vineyard. It means that Martinella is not a fantasy name, our name. It's we don't have the copyright this name, but it's just the name of a specific parcel. Martinella, this name, is written in the regulation of the Etna DOC. So when you ask for the DOC certification, you ask for Etna DOC Contrada Martinella all together. So it means that you certify and people certified you that all the grapes comes uniquely from that specific vineyard. That's important, really important, because when you have a place that is so different, changing just going far 300 meters, it's very interesting to exalt at maximum the particularity of that place. And when you drink Etna wines, it's beautiful. You know some of other Etna wines. It's beautiful to taste the different slope of the volcano, different altitude, and understand which is the best Etna wine for connected to what you are eating that moment. For example, this wine, if you pour at 16 degrees, it's perfect with a fish. At a little more, 17, 18, with risotto with mushrooms, of beau filet with mushrooms. So it depends. But if I have a sauvage meat, so with a strong taste, I will go in another direction for Mount Etna. So Contrada, it's like saying Premier Grand Cru is the same, but it's something that is not up to you. It's certified by other people. So the Etna Red, the red label, if we want, we can ask the certification Martinella, but after will be Martinella Red Label, Martinella Black Label, too much confusion. So at the moment, it's just Etna Rosso. I cannot hear you.
Sorry, that was one of the ones I wanted to questions I had for you, because I know they're both from the same vineyard, but they're just labeled differently, and it would just create too much confusion. Sounds like.
Yeah. That's just the reason. We could call, for example, one day that one Martinella and that one Martinella Riserva, because it's actually a Riserva. It's a 2013, this one. But also there, it can create a lot of confusion, also the name Riserva, even if it's a denomination, because sometimes people connect the name Riserva with something that is very oaky, that is very strong, with a lot of shoulder. That is not that. That one are more elegant wine. They have no muscle, but just they are clever. Not.
So are you vinifying the Martinella differently than the Etna Rosso?
The first part, no. It's harvest all together. So the vinification, with the steamed, We make the fermentation together. We make also the malolactic fermentation together, that is made in stainless steel tank. When it's finished all this process, the two wines goes in two different directions. So one remain in stainless steel tank on fine lees for 1 year, and then it continue inside the bottle. And the other one remain 3-4 years in French oak or Caucaso oak, and then other 2-3 years in the bottle. So it's a different aging, but the vinification is identical.
So we have some magnums and some older vintages that we purchased. So we have, I think the oldest is a 2009 of the Martinella. When would you recommend opening a magnum versus opening a smaller bottle?
So the magnum has, in general, for me, a better life compared to a 0.75, because the exchange with the oxygen is less compared to the bottle, a smaller bottle. So the aging is always very, very interesting. Of course, the magnum that you have of Terra dei Sogni, of Martinella, are magnum that are made by hand, one by one. So there is a different care compared to a machine bottling. I think that I would like to drink it now in 2, 3, 4 years.
Well, me too.
I don't know if I could wait more than 40 years. Probably because I'm too curious. I would like to taste, but I have. So it's I can do that. I have at home. 2009, every vintage, of course, is different. So for two reasons. First of all, because we start to produce our wine 2008. So 2009 actually was our first magnum produced. It was a vintage that was very fresh. That means very elegant and very delicate. So it's a very, very nice wine. Of course, there is interesting harvest and interesting moment, but at the same time, we were also very young. So I think that when you make wine, you learn every year, every harvest, and you try to make your best every year. Of course, nature after change everything, but what you do is just to learn and improve yourself. So I think that when you talk about vintages, what is 2009 will be different compared to 2011, 2013. But at the same time, 2009 for me, it's a vintage that was really, really very interesting, elegant, and allows you to understand how long can be the life of Nerello Mascalese Martinella. That's beautiful for me. But drink it, and then I come again. I will open another bottle.
Okay. Yeah, we'll drink it.
Okay.
We have the, I think we have 2013 Martinella for sale in magnums.
Yeah.
And we have the 2014 and 2017 Terra dei Sogni. And of course, we didn't even talk about the Salicere, which is also from the Contrada Martinella, and it's a white. You want to just mention the grapes that are in that?
So Salicere is made 100% from Carricante. Actually, the Etna white can be made of 60% of Carricante and 40% another grapes that is quite well spread, that is Catarato. But Carricante is the real local grape of Mount Etna. So we decide to use just this grape, and in order to be really focused on the Etna sensation. And what happened in Carricante is that when you wait, more you wait for Salicere, and more will be the sensation of flintstone and of sulfuric hydrocarbon, petrol, will be more and more and more intense. So at the beginning of his life, you will have agrumes, you will have a floral sensation, some even sometimes really at the beginning some tropical fruit, but when you wait, the fruity part goes away, except the agrumes that becomes more and more complex, and the Flintstone sensation will increase more and more. And when you smell it, like when you do it on Mount Etna, you will feel this fumé sensation that is natural of the grape, of the wine, and makes the wine very, very interesting. It's a wine for me, Salisire, that when I think about it, I think really that now it's really a baby. Now we are selling 2015, the vintage for this year. And I think, okay, I would like to drink it at least in 3 years, at least. It's very, 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 very young. And you can understand it very easily when you have in your glass a 2012 or 2010 vintage, because everything changed and the wine become more complex, more interesting, and that can really tell you the story of the Etna soil. So the expression is just made with the time for this kind of soil and this kind of grape. So of course it's very difficult to make the Caricante and to make Salisire because there's no oak at all. So that one, oh sorry, just a moment. Okay, I hope it will go. Okay, I have some problem of charge. There's not so much charge, so I will put more. And so it's a kind of a wine that's very difficult, because when you have oak, you have no shoulder, you have no help of anything except the grit quality of the grape. So you must be very attentive to have a perfect grape in order to make a wine that a white wine that can last for so many years.
Great. Well, we're actually getting near the end here. We're actually going to ask the audience any more questions that they have for us or Loredana. Please ask the questions. But in the meantime, one last question for Loredana. We'll put you on the spot again. All right. With the Etna Rossa, one food, what would you pick?
Mushrooms. So something that I really love with that will be the sausage typical of Linguaglossa. That is a sausage that is cut in big pieces. So it's a little fat, but very, very good. Linguaglossa, the village, is very famous for the sausages and for the meat in general, with the mushrooms. Perfect.
Great. Well, so we're at the end of our live tasting. It was fantastic. I want to thank Loredana and Vivera Winery.
So good to see you.
It was great to see you, and hope to visit you. We also want to thank Borough Coffee for hosting us tonight. So come by for coffee, and US Hotel for some lunch and dinner. And thank you all those of you who are participating tonight on a beautiful Friday evening. Keep drinking the wine tonight. It may be gone, but if you need more, you know where to find us.
Exactly.
And Loredana, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Salute. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Ciao.